In this video, you will hear about the international rescue involving the French, Indian, and Australian governments of a stricken Indian sailor who was dismasted in the solo non-stop Golden Globe race for small sailboats. Subscribe to Slowboat Sailing to get ripped from the headlines stories about the most interesting sailors in the world and our round-the-world adventure. Abhilash Tomy, commander in the Indian Navy, was in third place in the Golden Globe race when his boat was hit by 70-knot winds and 14-meter seas and rolled. After that accident, Tomy could not move and was confined to his bunk because of a severe back injury. The 2018 Golden Globe race is a retro race that covers 300,000 miles solo, non-stop, unassisted. The race started with 18 competitors left Les Sables d'Olonne, France in 2018, but after Tomy and his fellow sailor who was dismasted, Gregor McGuckin, drop out of the race, there will be only 8 left, with over 15,000 nautical miles to go, including Cape Horn ahead. The Royal Australian Navy HMS Ballarat left Perth, and the INS Saptura, an Indian frigate, would take days to arrive on the scene, so a rescue is planned for the French fisheries patrol vessel Osiris, which has medical facilities on board to rescue both Golden Globe racers Tomy and Gregor McGuckin. McGuckin has been intercepting Tomy, who has been unable to cut away his mast. McGuckin has been experiencing engine problems, but has been able to put up a jury rig that has allowed him to sail at roughly 2 knots and close the distance between the third place Tomy and the fourth place McGuckin's yachts. The Irish skipper Gregor McGuckin is in good health, unlike the immobilized Tomy. Abhilash Tomy was the first Indian man to sail solo non-stop around the world, and his boat THURIYA is of the same design as the first boat, Suhaili, to sail solo non-stop around the world. That boat was sailed by Sir Robin Knox Johnston, pictured with the first Indian man to sail around the world solo, Dilip Donde, also an Indian naval officer. On Saturday and Sunday, September 22nd and September 23rd, after his boat was rolled and dismasted, Tomy sent texts to Golden Globe race headquarters that said, activated EPIRB, can't walk, might need a stretcher, can move toes, feel numb, can't eat or drink, tough to reach grab bag. Tomy has more recently complained of vomiting and chest pains in text messages. Given his over 50,000 nautical miles under sail in the toughest conditions, it is believed that Tomy is seriously injured. His condition is worsening in the violent Southern Ocean waves. Gregor McGuckin planned to abandon ship when the Osiris arrived after Tomy was evacuated. Tomy had not sent a text to Golden Globe race headquarters for almost 24 hours, and his batteries on his one satellite texting unit were running very low. The weather for the rescue was 15 to 20 knots with a swell of 5 meters, making any evacuation of the Indian commander very tricky given his possible spinal cord injuries.
I've never experienced conditions anything close to what these sailors have experienced, but I've done a lot of offshore passages to get my boat to the Kingdom of Tonga from my home port in New Orleans, and I can't imagine having a serious back injury in the conditions that they were facing. Abhilash Tomy has a lot of experience being the first Indian to solo non-stop circumnavigate the globe. He has certainly seen storm conditions before. His experience as a naval officer also indicates to me that he's a pretty tough guy, and that if he can't move, it's not merely take 3 Advils situation where he's got a back strain. But I did get a back strain, an injure anything except tweak my back, and in just mild conditions, 1 to 2 meter waves, that made moving around very difficult and really limited my motion. But I think it's something a lot more serious, because I think if he would have not cut away his mast, knowing the dangers that he faced, if he didn't cut it away, I think that if there was a way for him to move, he would have moved and he would have done it. But I don't think there was a way, and that makes me think that maybe something more serious may have happened, maybe a broken bone in his spinal cord. And while it's very promising that he has been able to move some, the fact that he hasn't left his bunk, which must be excruciating if you had a normal back strain, it indicates to me that maybe something worse is going on. Subscribe to Slowboat Sailing so you can see ripped from the headline stories of the most interesting sailors in the world and our round the world adventure.
Mantis aimed to design the most reliable anchor ever made. Other anchors often cannot set in firm or grassy bottoms, endangering your safety. The Mantis frequently sets the first time, even in the most demanding situations. We sleep a lot easier using the Mantis anchor as our primary on the Slowboat. Get yours at mantisanchors.com or other fine retailers.